The moment the segment starts, something feels different. The audience doesn't know it yet, but they're about to witness a shift, one that will ripple far beyond the studio. David Letterman leans back in his chair, eyes glinting with confidence. He's done this 100 times before, bring in a conservative guest, throw out a loaded comment, and watch them squirm. This time is no different. With a smirk, he fires off the line he knows will get the crowd going. Come on, Karoline. Be honest. You wouldn't even be here if conservatives weren't trying to push their token young, blonde spokesperson. Right on cue, the audience laughs. Some chuckle lightly, others clap. David Letterman grins, feeding off the reaction. This is how it always goes. The guest stumbles, scrambles to defend themselves, and by the end of the segment, their credibility is in pieces. But this time, something is off. Karoline doesn't react the way he expects. No nervous laughter. No quick defense. She doesn't shift in her seat, doesn't even blink. Instead, she just tilts her head slightly, a small smirk forming. The kind of look that says, I knew this was coming. The laughter in the crowd fades faster than usual. The silence stretches. It lingers. People in the audience shift uncomfortably, a few exchanging glances. Even some of David Letterman's co-panelists seem to notice the shift. David Letterman expected a fight. Instead, he got something much worse, control slipping away before the real battle has even begun. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an amazing video. And if you enjoy this content, don't forget to like and share it with your friends. Karoline finally moves. Not in a rush, not in frustration, just a slow, deliberate lean forward. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't need to. Her words cut through the air like a sharp blade. So, what you're saying is my success isn't based on hard work, that I'm only here because of an ideology you claim to despise. The shift is immediate. The room, once filled with confident laughter, now feels different. The smirk on David Letterman's face wavers, just for a second. He wasn't expecting this. He thought Karoline would stammer, maybe laugh nervously, try to explain herself. That's what usually happens. Guests scramble, the audience enjoys the show, and David Letterman walks away with another easy win. Not this time. Karoline doesn't stop. Her expression stays calm, almost amused. Isn't it funny how wokeness only applies when it's convenient? If I sat here agreeing with you, I'd be a strong, independent woman. But because I challenge you, I'm suddenly just a token? A few people in the audience shift in their seats. Someone clears their throat. This isn't the reaction David Letterman wanted. The crowd was supposed to laugh, clap, back him up. But now, they aren't sure. David Letterman straightens, trying to regain control. His voice comes quicker now, a little sharper. Oh, please. Let's not pretend conservatives actually care about women's rights. It's an attempt to steer things back to safe ground, to pull the conversation into familiar talking points. But it doesn't land. The usual rhythm of the debate is broken. The planned script isn't working. Karoline tilts her head slightly. Her next words aren't loud, but they hit with force. So, you believe in women's empowerment, unless that woman disagrees with you? David Letterman opens his mouth, but doesn't speak. There's no easy comeback. No quick jab to reset the mood. The audience doesn't laugh this time. Instead, there's silence, the kind that says people are actually thinking. The energy in the studio isn't the same anymore. The usual rhythm, David Letterman attacks, guest scrambles, audience laughs, has been broken. Instead of cheers or applause, there are scattered nods. A few people in the crowd glance at each other, unsure whether they should clap or stay quiet. Even David Letterman's most loyal supporters, the ones who usually react on cue, hesitate. David Letterman notices. His confidence wavers for the first time. He clears his throat, forcing a smile. Keep control. Move on. He rushes to change the subject, reaching for a different angle, anything to reset the conversation. But it's too late. The moment is already out of his hands. The panelists around him aren't helping. One co-host leans back in their chair, arms crossed, suddenly less eager to jump in. Another, usually quick to pile on, keeps their eyes down, pretending to check notes. Then, something even more unexpected happens. A hesitant voice, one of the co-hosts, finally speaks up. Well, Karoline has a point. It's cautious, almost careful, but the damage is done. The script is falling apart in real time. Behind the cameras, the producers shift nervously. This wasn't how the segment was supposed to go. They planned for Karoline to be outmatched, overwhelmed. Instead, the debate is flipped against them, and the audience, both in the studio and the millions watching at home, can feel it. Before the show even wraps up, clips start hitting the internet. Short, cutting moments from the debate flood Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. The kind of clips that don't need context, just a few seconds of Karoline's calm, controlled responses next to David Letterman's fading confidence. They spread like wildfire. Within minutes, titles like Karoline Leavitt just ended David Letterman's career, and Watch David Letterman Get Completely Shut Down start trending. Screenshots of David Letterman's frozen expression, caught between frustration and realization, become instant memes. The hashtags take off almost immediately. Thousands of comments pour in under every post. Some are shocked, others thrilled, but almost no one is ignoring it. She just called them out on their own hypocrisy. I never thought I'd see the audience go silent like that. This is a turning point in media. Over at the network headquarters, things aren't so entertaining. The boardroom is in chaos. Executives refresh Twitter feeds, watching the reactions spiral further out of control. One marketing director schemes through a flood of emails, complaints from advertisers who don't like the attention. The panic spreads quickly. This is not the narrative we wanted. It was supposed to be another routine segment. Another conservative guest brought in, challenged, laughed at, and dismissed. Instead, it's become a PR nightmare, one that's growing by the second. And there's nothing they can do to stop it. If you're still watching, that means you're enjoying the video. So why not take a second to hit the like button and drop a comment below? Your support really helps me create more awesome content. As the cameras cut to commercial, David Letterman rips off his mic and storms off the set. Normally, he sticks around, chats with the audience, maybe shakes a few hands. Not today. Without a word, he pushes past crew members and disappears behind the stage doors. In the control room, producers scramble. The energy is pure panic. Someone rewinds the footage, replaying the key moment over and over. The silence. David Letterman's stunned face. The audience not laughing. A senior producer rubs their temples. We need to spin this. Now. There's talk of editing the segment before it airs online, cutting out Karoline's strongest moments. But it's too late. Millions have already seen it. The internet is running with the unfiltered version, and anything they do now will only make it worse. Inside the dressing room, David Letterman paces back and forth, voice sharp with frustration. I've shut down conservatives before. What went wrong this time? A long silence. No one wants to say it. Finally, one of the younger producers, hesitant but unable to hold it in, speaks up. Maybe people are getting tired of the same script. David Letterman stops mid-step. For the first time, he doesn't have an immediate answer. That thought lingers, heavier than any trending hashtag. Across town, executives crowd into a glass-walled boardroom, eyes glued to social media analytics. The numbers are skyrocketing. Viewer engagement is at an all-time high, but for all the wrong reasons. We've never seen backlash like this. One exec mutters, scrolling through emails from advertisers. Many are furious. Some are already threatening to pull sponsorships. The higher-ups debate their next move. Damage control is needed, but what does that even look like? Someone suggests having David Letterman take a temporary break. Another floats the idea of reworking the show's format to allow for more real debate. A PR rep types out a vague corporate statement, something about valuing diverse perspectives. It's meant to calm things down. Instead, it fuels even more speculation. For the first time in years, the network isn't in control of the conversation. The meeting room is packed. Network executives sit around a long table, faces tense, eyes glued to their phones and laptops. Social media is still exploding, and the headlines aren't letting up. What was supposed to be just another episode has turned into a full-blown crisis. We've never seen backlash like this. One exec mutters, scrolling through an endless flood of comments. Another shakes their head, reading an email. Advertisers aren't just upset, they're pulling out. A few big sponsors have already paused their campaigns, and more are on the fence. The network's money isn't drying up yet, but if this keeps going, it won't take long. The worst part, ratings have skyrocketed. The segment is pulling in more views than anything they've aired in months, but for all the wrong reasons. People aren't tuning in to support the show. They're watching to see the moment it lost control. Someone suggests a temporary break for David Letterman. Give it a few weeks, let the outrage cool down. Others throw out ideas, maybe a shift in the show's format, something to make it look less one-sided. But no one has a real solution. A PR rep finally speaks up. They've drafted a statement, something vague about valuing all perspectives and continuing to foster meaningful discussions. The team agrees to release it. It's meant to calm things down. Instead, it makes everything worse. The audience sees right through it. And now, the speculation is even louder. Is David Letterman getting fired? Is the show changing? Is this the beginning of the end? No one has an answer. And for the first time, the network isn't the one controlling the narrative. Karoline doesn't gloat. She doesn't post victory laps or throw insults online. Instead, she keeps it simple. When asked about the viral moment in an interview, she shrugs. I didn't expect this to happen. I just spoke my truth. But whether she expected it or not, the internet has made its decision. Her social media explodes overnight. Her follower count doubles in hours. Conservative media hails her as a rising star, calling her the woman who exposed mainstream media bias on live TV. Clips of the debate dominate news cycles, talk shows, and political podcasts. And then the next phase begins. Political commentators start asking the real question, should she run for office again? Some say she's exactly what the movement needs. Meanwhile, every major conservative show wants her on as a guest. Tucker Carlson, The Daily Wire, even independent creators, who usually avoid political figures, are talking about her. But when Karoline is asked about it all, she stays measured. People are tired of being told what to think, she says. They want real conversations, not media control. This wasn't just another interview. It was a shift. Something changed today. The usual playbook, bring in a conservative, mock them, dismiss them, didn't work. The media tried to control the story, but instead, they became the story. David Letterman thought he was in control. But now he's the one under fire. The bigger question remains, was this just one viral moment? Or is it the beginning of something bigger? Is the media losing its grip on the narrative? Or is this just the beginning of a real conversation?